By accident, I was born in Cleethorpes. I'm a Barton lad and we're a Barton family, but my mother had difficulty with my birth during the war, and Croft Baker, Cleethorpes, was at the end of the line in the nearest nursing home. My earliest memory is down here. And I put a nail through my hand as a toddler, and I can remember it very clearly. I've still got a hole in my hand where I did it, and I was in the charge of my grandmother, and I can see it quite vividly. I've always enjoyed drawing. If you have a difficult childhood, that's your refuge, and that's what happened to me, I suppose. Wood carving came to me later when I was 5 years of age, but it's been a passion all my life. I've done other things, but it's always been a constant thread throughout. The first piece that marked a turning point for me was when the boys were killed, and Felix Dennis, the billionaire entrepreneur, asked me if I could carve a horse. I said, how big? And he said, up to you, what attitude. It just had to be rearing. I did it on a series of lines and based it on Hector's glancing helm. When that was finished, it was lost in a fire, so I had to do it again. So yeah, I had 2 bites of the cherry, but it was very therapeutic for me at that time, and then he just got me to do bigger and bigger things. I did one of Long John Silver, and then a real portrait one of Robert Louis Stevenson. That's about one of my favourite pieces. There were still photographs of him when he was alive, so I could work from that. You see, the work for the palace is very difficult to top because that goes on for perpetuity, you know, and it's a highly visible sign of what of the monarchy, which, yeah, I'm very proud of that, really. And I still work for them, I do some consultancy work. We've got a new coach coming over, but the Royal Coach Builder is, I've worked for about 20 years with him. The one on the Diamond Jubilee State coach that the King and the Queen was her favourite coach because it's comfortable, warm, and properly sprung and everything. But the crown was carved from timber from HMS Victory. It was specially released by the Admiralty and the captain of HMS Victory, and it is part of, although HMS Victory is a bit like Grandad's axe, 4 new heads and 16 new shafts, it was part of the original ship, and that makes it very precious. And it was weighed out to me very carefully, and I had to weigh everything back in. But I managed to pinch quite a lot, for other things. So my pen is, I've got pens made from it and things like that. The next one was even more important because it was a bigger one, but it was made from timber from Westminster Abbey, which was put up in the year 960. Part of the original fabric of the Abbey. So it's seen every royal coronation, since Harold Godwinson. So it was a thrill to work on it, although it was very difficult because of the construction. I had to put the tree back together again, so that to allow for shrinkages and things like that. But when it was done, it was blessed at a special ceremony by the Dean, and we're all there, and family and everything, and that was a very proud moment. Well, the Azincourt Archer, it came about because on my 70th birthday, it was the same year as the 600th anniversary, and they had a competition in Agincourt. And I went with some other friends, 4 of us in the car, and we followed Henry V's journey from Harfleur and through, and so, until we got to Agincourt, where we stayed, and then we shot at a 3-day competition in full armour with 1,000 other archers from all over the world in full kit. It was wonderful. But the research for that, everything's pretty accurate for the time. What he's wearing gambeston, he's wearing the sword. The bow is different. I've changed the bow because it's always about the yew longbow and not about the men. And so I've carved this in yew instead, and the bow I've done in silver. It's not in place at the moment behind me, but yeah, quite a lot of research into that. It would be most fitting to have it in Beverley Minster, and I'm going to negotiate for that because it's by the tomb of St John, to whom Henry V dedicated the battle, and not St Crispin, but to St George and St John, whose standard he took into battle and won against tremendous odds. Yeah. I've done most of the longitude people because John Harrison is my great interest. And I did one for Felix, the John Harrison thing. That took 3 years to do, and that took an awful lot of research. It's done at the end of his career. I brought him into being a carpenter in Barrow, and there's lots of cryptic things about it, and I wrote a book about it, you know, because there's that many cryptic things. All my stuff's got a hidden message somewhere and a Mickey take if people get it. Yeah, but there we go. I do work for John Levison. He's an East Yorkshire vet of all things who builds barns, and he gives me the subject and leaves me alone to determine what I carve and how I do it and what the delivery time is, which is a real gift for an artist. Given free rein, it means that he'll get the best out of me. He wanted to celebrate the life of the timber merchant who's built for years all the barns that he's done, and done them in the old-fashioned way, you know, properly and everything. And this is to celebrate his life. He's a remarkable man. He's not just a timber merchant, he's a farmer. He's a classical guitarist. He's a sailor. He's spends as much time at sea in Spain and across in the boat that he built. So this beam celebrates that. And the first beam was 5.5 meters long, and it was shaken from stem to stern. I couldn't use it really, so they brought this one, which is 7.7 meters long. So I said, well, where do you want? I've done the design, so roughly, which end do you want me to do it? Oh no, we'll build a building around the beam. So that's quite a tribute for the subject. I do a lot of drawing work as well, and so when I'm fed up with the carving, you know, because it can get very consuming, then I draw. My medium's unusual because I'm a drawer. I'm not a painter, and that comes from my training, you know, as a draftsman and then an illustrator, and so the stuff I do is with coloured pencils and, you know, gouaches and things like that. I've done quite a few famous people, and but mostly in their own field. I am an acknowledged artist with the National Portrait Gallery for my portrait work. I did Robert Hardy, the actor, and he was a great chap, you know. I went down a few times, and he was quite a rascal. He used to enjoy getting me drunk, and I'm easily persuaded to be so as well. But I've done 2 of him, maybe 3, and the Astronomer Royal, I've done his portrait bust, and I've done several portraits of him, which are going to Durham University, where he was Emeritus Professor of Physics for many years, in the new lecture theatre named after him, so I'm proud of that. Professor Sir Arnold Wolfendale, FRS, 14th Astronomer Royal, is telling the story of John Harrison. It started with Harrison going from this very station here down to London and the Royal Observatory, knocking on the door of the second Astronomer Royal, Sir Edmund Halley. And this represents Halley's Comet as was seen on the Bayeux tapestry. In its wake, a turbulent wake, is the masculine symbol representing Neville Masculine, the 5th Astronomer Royal, who caused John Harrison no end of grief. He's holding his hand like a policeman because it stopped with Wolfendale, the 14th Astronomer Royal, when we got his plaque to Harrison in the Abbey. The Duke of Edinburgh unveiled the plaque to John Harrison in the Abbey, and I was there, and I was wearing a wooden tie, which he didn't know. And I was the first person to stand on it after he'd left. And when I looked up, Michael Gambon, who played John Harrison in the BAFTA-winning film, was there, and I said, "Oh, I'm standing on it, and John Harrison's before me." He says, "You just beat me to it, old boy." And I wished he had it done, because that would have been more fitting, wouldn't it? Anyway, so it's a cryptic tale. Began with the 2nd Astronomer Royal, Sir Edmund Halley, who passed him on to his clockmaking friends, and it suffered the turbulence of the masculine regime, and it ended with Wolfendale. Yeah, bless his heart, lovely man. He's very dusty at the moment, yeah. I write for various magazines as well, and so when I wake up at 5 or 6 o'clock, and then I can dictate and do my articles, which I do, and so generally I've got them finished in 3 or 4 hours, you know. And then I come here. I can only do so much because I get tired. I am the age I am. I can't just sit about, you know. I've got to do something, you know. I teach 2 days a week as well, and they've all got one thing in common, you know. They're active and they keep busy and they're curious about the world. When the boys were killed, I had no vessel for passing it on. And my neighbour was principal at Bishop Burton College, and he said, "Well, why don't you teach it?" And I said, "Well, I don't know how to do that." Anyway, he gave me the chance. I found I enjoyed it very much indeed. And that's 20 odd years ago, nearer 30 now. And I've had wonderful students through my hands. Betty, my oldest student, was 101, and she was very active indeed. David's 94 or 95, another one is 86 and whatnot. Luckily, I've got apprentices now, because I was always worried that I was just teaching old codgers who weren't taking it anywhere. But now we've got some very talented apprentices. And so if I can influence them so they can take it through life, then yeah, I'll be happy, you know. You feel you've got a duty to do it. Because mine's a rare skill, as it were, you know, now. And I'm worried that it's, when I go, you know, all my tool base and everything is going to be lost. And that's a big worry, you know. I suppose it's trying to hang on to some kind of immortality, isn't it, really? Every artist thinks their work's failure anyway, and I'm no exception to that. I get along, and I do my best, really. And if people see it as art or see it as wonderful, all well and good. Yeah, I've been very lucky. I've met a lot of people along the way, and yeah, I've had a very lucky life, really. Yeah, shows how you can bull your way through, and it really, you know.
And final question: when people talk about O.H. Boyd in years to come, what do you hope they say?
Well, half of them are going to say I was an awkward, cantankerous sort of fella, and the other half are going to say, yes, he was.